Hello, everybody. Jim Malone here. It is Friday. Friday. We're already at the end of the week. Wow, it has been quite a week. Actually, it looks like some good stuff is happening today. The Nasdaq looks like it's recovered somewhat, which is great. But it's kind of still a mixed market. I have kind of a special treat for you today. Well, treat for you, I hope it is. And basically, what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you run through a trade that I'm putting on for Salesforce before the earnings. I think you might want to like this one. Might like this one because it has almost no downside liability problems, and we'll get that just in a second. But until for right now, let's go to some of the slides and kind of look at the market, kind of get a general idea of how it's trading. So I'm putting up my handy dandy charts here. There we go. Okay. Now we're trucking. All right, so let's put that up on the screen. And by the way, if you're looking on TikTok, you can actually jump over to see all the charts that I'm showing, and they're actually on, they're actually on YouTube. So if you go to this address here, you can definitely see it. Also, if you click on my bio, go to the link, hit beacons, and you'll see where that is. And so you can see all these charts as I'm showing them. I don't have the capability yet of doing this on oops, I think my camera went up, but that's okay because I'm really going to just talk about the charts. The first one we're going to go to is the Nasdaq Composite. Kind of see how that's doing today. We seem like we're pulling up, which is very nice. I'm so glad to see this. It's been a very tough week, but it looks like we're back up to about the 50-day line. This is very critical. It looks like we are starting to see a bounce, and this is good because it pulled below that 50-day. I like to see it normally bounce on that, but it pulled down below that. We've had about 5 weeks of pullback on the Nasdaq, but today it's looking like, I mean, it's off a little bit today, but for the week, we're starting to see some progress. We're up about 0.55% for the week. So we had it for the first time in about 5 weeks. We actually had a positive week, even though right now we're pulled back a little bit on the charts. But this is a very good sign. I'm glad to see it. Believe me. Let's see if we can get that. Let me see if I can get my ugly mug up there. Well, no, I can't. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I got it back. I've been having some issues with with my camera. So I don't know what it is, but if it cuts out, I'll try to get it back as soon as possible. Hopefully the sound will be good this time. We've had some issues with that. I also want to take a look at the S&P. The S&P is performing pretty nicely. Let's go to the daily chart and kind of take a look there. And it looks like we're pulled above the 21-day line. This is a far healthier chart than the Nasdaq is. We're kind of mixed. We're kind of mixed today, but this is a good sign that we're pulling up above that. So finally, we've tested that 50-day line. We're moving up. Now, why do I spend so much time on talking about direction? Well, because it's direction that helps you trade better. It really is, because if you're in sync with the market, it's easier to make the right kind of choices. Now, one of the indexes that has been an issue, but it is now getting more strength, is the Dow. It's off a little bit today, but we've got some strength, which is very nice. Let's take the weekly chart, because the weekly is so important. We're off a little bit today, but that's starting to hold up. So we're starting to see the indices firm up, which is great. This is a great thing, because we have been down, and it's been difficult for the indexes, and it just hasn't been as good as it's been. So it's just one of those things. Now, for everybody out there, I would like to go through a quick tutorial, and I know this, you can't, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see this on TikTok, but what I recommend you doing on TikTok is going to my bio, hitting the link, and you will see on that link, you will see this thing called beacons. Hit that, and then you'll see this. This is the Salesforce CRM trade, and I'm going to go through this really quickly with everyone here, and let's pull this one up. Okay, a little slow today, but I think we've got that cooked. So let's pull this presentation up, and I just did this a few minutes ago, and I actually did this trade earlier. Earlier this I did this trade earlier today, and then I wrote it up. So hopefully, we can now see it here, and hopefully this will kind of illustrate sort of what how I did the trade and just kind of what it's all about. So let's pull that screen up. There we go. There we go. Okay, here we go. We're finally cooking with gas, as they say. Well, Salesforce, as you know, is a great company, but they've been kind of going sideways as of late. Here's a way that we can make a little bit of money on the stock before the earnings. The earnings are coming up basically next week on the 27th, May 27th. And right now it's the 21st. So we're about 8 days away. So we're about a week away from where they're going to make their earnings. We can make a nice little trade here, and I just kind of want to show you kind of what we're talking about. Basically, we had a very nice day yesterday, and what we had a very nice day on Wednesday. Basically, Salesforce rallied, and it's closed near the high, and it's continued to do that. It's continued to look very good. CRM also crossed above the 50-day line. That's very, very important. So we know we're getting some support there. So that's very, very important. And the earnings, of course, as we said, are going to come out on the 27th. So this strategy is what they call a pre-earnings diagonal call spread. And by the way, if you're interested in this kind of thing, we put these out for the members of our Action Trade Alerts all the time. Now let me see if I can get that up. Well, it doesn't let me it doesn't let me do that, does it? Okay. Well, basically, if you subscribe to www Dallas Trading Floor, sign up for our free Action Trade Alerts. Sometimes we put out these trades on this. Mostly this is for our special Discord service, but if you'd like to follow along with this deck and you want to see it later, go to this address. I have it down at the bottom of the screen. It's bit.ly.com, bit.ly /3HEV7MN. The best thing to do is probably take a screenshot of this one if you can, and then you can do it later. But it will show you the spread that I'm covering right now. So let's get on with it. Okay, so basically we have this thing called a pre-earnings diagonal call spread. And how do we do this? Well, basically what we do is we simultaneously buy and sell two different strikes of a call option with two different dates. So we buy, this is what I did this morning. I bought a June 11th 250 call, and I did two of these, but you could do just one contract. I paid $101.19 for that, or with this case, because I bought two of these, $238. Then I simultaneously sold a closer in May 28th 240 call for $1.17. For the total for mine out of my pocket was oops, I'm having some issues with my. There we go. Okay, we got it back. For a total out of my pocket. Now this one, I actually went out of my pocket $4. So it cost me $40 to do this trade. But you might get this positive. It's just right on the right on the line. So basically, the entry cost for me was $4 for this trade. There is a risk of $2,000 potentially, but you can return up to $622 if the price is below $240 at the expiration. So here's kind of how it works. Here's the payout table, and this is sort of how how it works. And basically, what happens here is that when you enter this trade, you will see that there's this green zone. Of course, that's your profit zone, and there's a red zone. Of course, that's where you're going to be potentially potentially stopped out of here. So here's how you do the trade. Once you get in the trade, just every evening when it comes to the end of the day, look at where it closes the price of CRM or Salesforce. As long as it stays below this very 245, then you want to keep this trade open. And then hopefully, if the volatility is right, this one should pay off about $620 for 2 contracts, or about $300 for 1 contract. But the great thing about this is all this requires, this doesn't require any cash out of your pocket, really. All it requires is credit. Also, you also want to close the trade if it falls below about 205, and you can see that here. So it would be a very minor loss at that level. So this is a kind of an interesting trade. Here, I'm going to show you this visually on the chart. Basically, these are where earnings are. They're on the May 27th. That's right here. So as long as it stays within these bounds, in these lines, then we're probably going to see a profitable trade. And I believe that's the case based on this chart pattern. It is trading below the 200-day line, but right above the 50-day line. So it's kind of going sideways. And a sideways motion on this will be very, very bullish for us. I mean, we'll do well on this. So, kind of reiterate, basically we have these kind of trades all the time for our, for our special Discord service members. Now, if you're interested in this, basically you have direct access to me and some of my staff, because I do have some customer service people. And then basically we do members only option and stock trades. And a lot of these are great little trades. We also had an alert this morning for a stock that's doing very well. I'm going to show you that in just a second, and that's Virgin Galactic. So we're going to start having some training here, hopefully pretty soon. I'm trying to put together some training materials as we stay. But basically, it's great because it's a community of like-minded traders. And again, we have these special trades. If you want to find out more about this, just go to www.vinny.com/U, and you have to put that U in there, Dallas Trading Floor. So that's the way you can go there. Now, if you want to see if you want to see the deck here, you can do that very easily by going to this address, SendFox.com/LP/197NXN. So I know that's kind of complicated, but you might want to take a screenshot of this, and that way you can save it for later. But this is basically the trade here, and I think this might be a very, very interesting trade. Now, apparently I am still having trouble with my with my camera. I'm going to try to turn that on, see if I can get that. I don't think I can. I'm having. Oh, there we go. We're back. We're back online. So without further ado, let's take some questions. Thank you very, very much. Wow, look at this. Somebody is. Okay, so Real Madrid. Hey, what's up? Okay, well, hopefully I'm up and running. Do you think Zim is a buy on Monday for a swing trade, or should I wait until the dip first? I'm a little bit concerned about Zim. I like Zim a lot. I've been talking about it, and here are the things. This is a case of Jim didn't eat his own dog food. I've been talking about this for several months, and I know that this has been in the zone, and I haven't bid on it. It's just one of those things. Sometimes I can't. I just don't get into everything that I talk about, which is because I have limited capital. Unfortunately, I wish I had more capital. Always need more capital. But anyways, this is the chart for Zim. So let's take a look at Zim right now. Let's first of all look at the weekly chart. I always start with a weekly chart. That's the best way to kind of get an overall trend. Well, the trend on this is just spectacular. I mean, look at this. It's just up. Basically, it IPOs here, it gaps up, and it's just done nothing but look good. This stock is just looking good. I don't know what's going to stop it. Its profits were up. Its profits were up almost 1,000%. Its sales were up. I mean, gosh, I don't know. They must be doing something right there. It's pulled back a little bit today, but not much. So what I see here is I see a level at about 42.99, about 43. Right here where I've driven the line. I do believe, even though it's pulled back today, I'm going to put an alert on that line. And the reason I'm going to do that is because that's the line that I want to buy it at. So currently that's at 43. So we're still a little bit above that line. But basically what I want to do is I want to on Monday, if I don't buy it, if I didn't buy it today on Monday, if it moves decisively above this level, so I'm going to say it's going to have to move to about 44 before I buy it. But if it moves to about 44 on strength, I'm probably a buyer. But right now, I'm not. It's a little bit extended, but it does have this very nice, what they call pocket pivot. This is what they call a pocket pivot, and this is a very nice pattern. So if you possibly could buy it today, I wouldn't buy it going into the weekend. I just wouldn't go into the going. See how it trades on Monday. If it trades above about 44, then I think you could possibly go into this. I really believe this. I still think it has more to run. I could be very wrong on this, but I think it still has more to run. This is a great question, Rio, and great question, because I still think Zim has more to run. Now it's right at a pivot, so there's going to be some resistance here. And what I mean by resistance is you can see it pushed above this, it found resistance and it's pulled back. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just showing that there was a lot of buying and then the supply tapered off. So if there's a supply, if it looks like more people may be buying this one. This has just been a tremendous one. Again, this group, this is all about money moving into different sectors of the economy. With Zim, it's this transportation shipping group is 7 out of 197. So it's a very, very strong area of the market right now. All right. Well, that's great. Now here I want to show you one that I bought today, and it's you're familiar with this one. I think everyone's familiar with Richard Branson. But I actually bought it again, and I haven't traded this one almost in a year. I tell you, it's strange. I have not traded Virgin in a long time, and why? Well, because unfortunately, it was in this trend. This negative trend. But here's what I'm doing here. I'm drawing this trend line. Okay, so why would I do that? Well, the reason I would draw this trend line is because this is the trend line that it has to move above before I think it shows a reversal. I do believe that we have had a reversal on space for some reason for Virgin Galactic, because you can see it's pulled above that. It's now above 20. That's a key level, and there's very heavy buying volume. Now it's true we're pretty close in to earnings. Earnings are coming up on us pretty darn quickly, and they're coming up they're coming up pretty quickly, but. Well, no, I'm sorry. I stand corrected. We just came through earnings. Parch married me. That's why. But even though we had a negative sales because they don't, and we have loss, they're looking like they may be able to launch this Spaceship Two next year, and if they do, they will really capture a lot of business. So it looks, at least for right now, like we can move into the stock. I moved in this morning at about 19. I think it was about 1960 where I bought it. It's up about, it's up over $4, which is amazing, almost 30%. But the real interesting thing here is the volume. So this is one you might want to put on your watch list. If you do buy it, though, be very careful. Make sure you have your stop loss set tight, because these can pull back very, very strongly. But this is one that you might want to put on your list. All right, so let's take a look at USAC. Well, before I do that, let's take a question from TikTok. Thank you very much for everybody on TikTok. And by the way, if you want to see my charts, super easy to do. All you have to do is run over to click on the link on my bio and pull it up. So we have a good question on Bitcoin. I did put out 2 videos on Bitcoin this morning. So let's kind of take a look and see how let's see how Bitcoin is trading. So let me see if I can change, if I can get a good Bitcoin chart here. My software that I use for stocks doesn't actually cover Bitcoin, but that's no problem, because there's plenty of them out there that are quite good. And let's bring that up. Kind of look in on Bitcoin here a little bit. Okay, well, we've pulled back up. Here's something that I think you need to be a little bit concerned about Bitcoin. Not that You know, not that it's the end of the world or anything like that, but oops, that's bitcoin.com. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay. Okay, there we go. All right, so save that language. Okay, great. So let's see if we can go back here and pull up Bitcoin. There we go. Okay, so let's kind of look at Bitcoin. It's pulled back up a little bit here. These are basically the coins that, you know, kind of are everybody's interested in. Litecoin, of course, Bitcoin, and then Ethereum. Now, now take a look at all of these charts. You'll notice that they're all in long term. They're all in decline. So we really don't want to be in there. We got to bounce at 30,000, but I still think the overall trend here is downward. So I think you got to be very careful when it comes to this right now. I don't think it's necessarily a time to buy in. Now I wouldn't sell, obviously, unless I was down 7%. But right now, I don't think it's an optimal time to you know, to be buying into be buying in. So let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart, and I kind of want to look at that and see kind of where we're going. This was the bounce that I was talking about. Now it says 36,000 here, but actually this was today. You see how there's some support. So let's go back about a week. Let's go back about 10 days and show you kind of what's going on. The overall trend on Bitcoin is still downwards, and you can't really see it on this chart, but it actually hit for a moment. It hit about 30,000, then it rallied back up, and then it's rallying down. So if it breaks through that $30,000 floor, and it's not there yet, then I think we might be seeing it go all the way down to potentially as low as 20. Just, you can't tell, but there's a good likelihood that might indeed be the that might indeed be the case. So I would be extremely careful right now with Bitcoin. It's not a good time to enter positions right now. Let it settle. Let it pull below. You know, let us see what it's going to do. Let's see if this is a true bounce off of you know, off about the $30,000 level. I'm not convinced that that's going to be the way. As you can see, it's swinging pretty wildly. I mean, it opened at 40. You know, its low was 35, and that's just in 24 hours. So it could be, but as you can see, the general trend is negative. So right now, I think you got to be careful with all the coins. There's a lot of, obviously right now, controversy with some of the central banks. So I think if you have some nice profits in your coins, I would consider possibly taking them now, because there probably will be another chance to buy. But right now, cash is king, and I think you want to go to cash on this one. Let's see if we can find. Here's what I trade. I normally don't trade Bitcoin directly. I use the GBTC, which is the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, and that's what I typically use as my sort of my proxy. But this is how I usually trade Bitcoin in my own accounts. I don't actually trade it in a Bitcoin wallet. I trade it through the GBTC, which is basically the largest. They hold about 4% of the world's Bitcoin. And as you can see, one of the reasons I trade like this, one of the reasons I had an idea that 30,000 was approximately the level, is because of the GBTC. This is actually in a security that tracks that tracks the value of Bitcoin. So this conforms to a lot of the rules that that you have in stocks. Now, one of the things I always look for is violation of the 200-day line, and that is indeed what's happened here with Bitcoin, with GBTC, which tracks, of course, the Bitcoin price. It violated the 200-day line. This is a major violation, as you can see, with increasing volume. This tells me there is a sell-off, at least for right now, on Bitcoin. So you want to be careful with Bitcoin. The reason I think that we may be down to potentially the $20,000 level is that, because that is a most recent high. So I think we could give all this back. You know, we could give all this back all the way down to this line. Now, Bitcoin, Grayscale Bitcoin price doesn't trade exactly 1-for-1 with Bitcoin, but it's close if you take the zero off. So right now, it looks like it's pulling back. So my guess is, based on the way that the GBTC is trading, that we're going to see some more weakness in Bitcoin itself. So that's kind of a heads up for you. If you have Bitcoin right now, consider taking your profits, because there's going to be other entry points. There's going to be other entry points, but it seems as if right now the strength in Bitcoin is weakening. So that's kind of been a thing. Let's take another question on CELH. Let's take a look. CELH. And that is Celsius Holdings. And this is a cool company, everyone. This is a company that has a drink that I certainly need. And that is, it has a drink that makes you lose weight. Boy, do I need that. I tell you, I love seafood. I seafood and I eat it. I mean, seriously, I gotta cut back. But this has been an interesting company. It's trading after hours just a little bit up, about 0.53%. But overall, during this week, this had a very good week. It was up 10% overall, and it looks like it's getting to a potential area where you might be able to buy it. So let's take a look at the chart and see if we can get a kind of a reversal line on this one. Yeah, it's right at the reversal line. So if this holds above this may be a very good place to buy it, actually. And that's amazing. Let's take a look at some other things. It's got extremely strong relative strength. I'm really liking that. And it looks like, if you draw from the all-time high through these points, and of course this is in the daily chart, so it's not as good as the weekly chart. But if we do this on the weekly chart, we can see that we basically have essentially a reversal line there. And so it looks to me, and I'm going to click back over here, it looks to me that if we're able to pull up just a little bit higher, about 61, then I think we might have something that's very, very viable. It looks as if, let's see, are they announcing? Let me see if they're announcing earnings. Okay, it looks like they have gone through earnings. Oh, their earnings were good. Well, their sales were up. We'll find out more about their earnings. I guess that's tonight. Boy, that's looking very strong. This is a good one. This is a very good one. I think I think you could definitely buy this if you buy it above about 64. So Celsius, and the symbol is CELH, and it's looking very, very strong. And it's interesting because it's not in a particularly good group. It's in the beverages group, which has not been traditionally that strong. But this one is doing very, very well. Very, very well. So there you go. All right, question from Samuel, and this is on Ford, or capital F. That's the symbol, Ford, for Ford. And let's look at Ford, see what's doing. I was in Ford earlier this year, and I've just gotten shaken out of it so many times. The original buy point on Ford is 12.14. It's currently at 13.38. It's up today, which is very, very nice. They can't, I don't know if you saw that. I didn't actually see the video, but they came out with their new electric truck, and apparently it's doing really good things. People really like it. So Ford is right now right below a buy point. There's a new buy point on it at about 13.62. So would I buy it? Well, I don't know. I don't know if I would be a buyer at this level, just because I think it's I've tried. I've been maybe for selfish reasons I'm saying this, but I've tried this one twice and I've been rejected twice. So I don't know. I don't know if I would buy this one. I would definitely watch this one though. Ford is still a great company, and it's had some. It looks like it had some very, very nice profits. So they're starting to turn around, which is really, really good. There are some issues though. This industry group, since Tesla has become weak, this industry group has fallen tremendously. It was about 1 or 2 basically back in January. Now it's 175. So this industry group is not doing as well, and that mainly has to do with Tesla. So let's look at Tesla and see kind of what's going on there. Of course, Elon, tweeted about, about Bitcoin, putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. What I think happened is that they put all this Bitcoin on their balance sheet at Tesla, and unfortunately lost money. So it's a good way. You can make money on it, but you can also burn money on it too. Right now, today, Tesla is trading for that, as I was talking about earlier, that very key level, which is that 580 level. This sort of is support for at least in the short term. This is what I've been finding. This is sort of right at the 200-day line. This is sort of support. Now the question is, will it move higher? Well, I have a mild, I call it a mild bull spread on it, bull call spread on it, only up to about 420. I think this will. I mean, I think we're going to see some stabilization here. But the thing about Tesla, it's a great company, but it has an issue, and that issue is, I'm going to draw the line across here. That is what they call the overhead supply. Notice how this is sort of like a big mountain here. Big mountain. All these people bought, and a lot of these people didn't sell, see? So it went down, they held, and then it went up, and they said, oh, that's great. Goes up, and then it goes down a little bit. So what I think now is when it goes up here, if it comes up to about this 780 level, I think people are going to say, well, I'm going to cut my losses. I'm going to sell now. So this is what they call overhead supply. And Tesla right now has a lot of overhead supply. So I don't think it's going to necessarily, I think it's going to have trouble moving above about 620. I think it is, just because when it gets close there, people are going to sell, and it's going to be like that for a while. So that's one of the reasons I have that spread trade on Tesla. All right, so let's go back. I had an issue again with my camera. It just seems to be cutting out all the time. So hopefully that's not too bad for people. Oh, let's look at gold. This is a I'm in gold, by the way. I was buying this last week. It's off a little bit, but it's had a pretty strong. It actually is up. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I started accumulating gold basically. Let's see if we can get that camera back. Well, there we go. Golly. I started accumulating gold right about at the 200-day line. And in this case, that for gold, that's right here at about 173.50. So this is what I was watching for, and it indeed happened. We moved past this critical line. Now gold continues to move higher overall. So I still think, this is a kind of a slow and sure wins the race kind of trade. Let's see if I can. Let's take a look at the price of gold. And this security this security GLD, it's an ETF that tracks the price of gold. So that's why it tends to be a little slower than something like Bitcoin or something like that. So let's kind of take a look at the gold price. And here's the thing about gold that's a little bit different, a little bit different than Bitcoin or other things like that. What I believe is happening right now, and I could be totally wrong on this, but I think this is happening now. A lot of people that have made money in crypto are saying, wow, it's getting tougher to trade crypto. So what do we do? Well, one of the things I think they're doing is they're moving over here to gold. And right now, today, it's up 1880. So it's up $5, which is significant, because really, with the inflation fears, most of the people listening in the audience didn't live through inflation. I'm actually old enough to remember a time when the gas prices basically went up all the time, and we had the rationing and all that stuff, and it looks like we're headed down that road. And one of the things is people are going to take some of their profits, and they're going to probably buy a little bit of gold. It's not a bad idea, and it's up today, and you can see it's been going like this for a while. This is the 1-day chart, but let's look at the 6-month chart, because that's really what we have to look at for gold. Now, there is resistance on the price of gold at about 1950. So I don't really expect this to continue up, the price of gold to continue up until it gets to about 1950. Then I think we're going to see some resistance, at least for now. Now, if we go out a little bit further, like 5 years, you can see that gold peaked it peaked and then it's been pulling back. So it actually, right when the coronavirus happened, that's really when it made its move from about 1600 up here to about 1850, and then it's backed off. But now I think with the inflation fears, it may be moving. It may be moving back up that way. So I think at least in the short term, I think gold will probably continue to move up until the price of gold gets the physical price of gold gets to about 1950. Then I think we're going to see some resistance there. That's just the way I see the charts. So that's the way I see the charts. All right, thank you. Oh, hey, look at Baidu and Alibaba. Well, thank you. You're long on both. Okay. Alibaba, Baba. That might is once this market recovers, that might be pretty good. Baba might be pretty good. Let's take a look at Baba. The only thing I have some concerns with Baba, and I'm going to share them with you. And I don't want to, be. I want to be as frank as I can, or at least as Jim. Okay. Anyways, as you can see, there's the price of Baba has been trending lower. Let's look at the weekly chart to see kind of where we're going on. Yeah, since really about the December timeframe, we've definitely had, we've definitely had this downward trend on Baba. This concerns me a little bit because it doesn't look like the trend has changed. It looks to me that the trend, even though we had a little bit of spike up today, it looks like the trend is still moving downwards. So what I would do here is draw a trend line basically through, it's best if you can get 3 points, but I'm going to draw it through 2 points. This is a short-term trend line. So basically my issue here with Baba right now is that it's trading below this trend line. So I would not be a buyer of Baba at this point. It is in a downward trend. Now, if I was off 7% in where I had bought it, I would probably sell this right now. And the reason is because of this trend. Not, I think it may turn around, but right now it hasn't confirmed a reversal. Right now it's still, the trend is still downwards. So I think we have to be very careful with Baba. We definitely don't want to initiate any new positions at this point. If you're down more than 7%, consider selling it. I know this is painful. Or if you can't stomach selling it, sell half of it and then wait. Now, eventually this will turn around and you can always buy it back. But right now, I think a better hedge on this one is cash, because this has a relative strength of 10. So it just isn't behaving as well as it was earlier in the year. Earlier in the year, about the January timeframe, looks like it was making its move. It moved up there to 274, and then it started its retreat. And really what's happening is it's just getting rejected at about that level, and that is sort of the ceiling on it right there. About 275 or so is where it's seeing some resistance. What's happening is it's hitting that resistance and then it's pulling back. So now we're in a downward trend. So here's the thing: I would be very careful. Don't if you have a loss, I know it's tough. Consider possibly selling half of your position or maybe all of it. But I would be careful, and I'm not. I would be careful with Alibaba. It's a great stock, but it's in a downward trend. I don't just think you. I think you want to be careful with it right now. So let's look at Baidu, BIDU. There we go. Same issue, but I like Baidu stock a little bit better than Ali because than Alibaba because it looks like it's got support at the 200-day line, and the 200-day line is trending upwards. So this is a weak reversal at this point. This is a weak reversal at this point, but it still hasn't confirmed it was a reversal. They had some great earnings. This one could be a very good buying opportunity if it moves above about 200. What we want to see on Baidu before we buy it is we want to see that it has indeed reversed its downward trend and is trending upwards. Right now, it's still kind of on the fence. This one could turn up, and when they turn up from a major support line like the 200-day, that can be a very good place to get into the stock. I also like this one better than Alibaba because it has a stronger relative strength. Now, typically, I like to buy at least 80 relative strength, but in this market, it's just really tough to buy anything with that kind of strength. So here's my take. If you're looking to balance between the two, I would consider I would consider reducing my position in Alibaba and holding my position in Baidu, because Baidu looks like it's going to trend up. I'm not so sure with Alibaba. So that's kind of my take on it. And thank you so much for the question. I really appreciate it. Let's look to see if we can. Okay. Sell Doggy on Monday. Doggy coin. Maybe. There's still a downward trend on all the coins right now. So you got to be careful with that right now. It's a tough slog. Bitcoin is at 36,237. Do you expect that it will test again the 40s before going down? I think it might. I think there's some real resistance at about 45,000. But I do think it has it in a downward trend. I think what's more of a concern is that it's going to start reversing. It's going to start reversing lower if it moves through about that $30,000 level on Bitcoin. I do think that's a critical. I think that's why it bounced at 30,000. Round numbers like that. Traders like round numbers like that. That's a programmatic trade. That's why it was at that level, and that was a stop that they came in and they bought and they supported the price. But I do believe that we're going to see some of the coins move lower, at least for the time being, because of the pressure from many of the central governments. I had to really say that, but you really say that. Very good, Jeet. Thank you. You know what? I bought this one this morning. Thank you. You're stealing my thunder there. Nvidia. I'm gonna put out hopefully a trade alert on this one. I bought a few thousand. I bought about $10,000 worth of this today in one of my other accounts. It's a retirement account, so I can't really do all that much with it. But stock splits provide a very, very good opportunity. And typically, the way there's a 5 phases that the stock splits are in. What I'm going to do, I did this when Apple split and Tesla split. I put out some information on this. Basically, from the announcement until further notice, I believe that that Nvidia stock is going to trade upwards, at least until earnings, and that's in 5 days. So I think that you could still, even on Monday, get into Nvidia. I think it's going to trade up. Now, when it gets to the day that it's going to split, and I'm going to put this in some action trailers and send it out to everybody. Then I think you have to be. Then I think you have to sell it before it splits. I know this sounds weird. You sell it the day before it splits. You let it split, and then typically it will pull back as people sell out their positions, and then rebalance them. That's another buying opportunity. So we may have 2 or 3 bites on the apple, but I did buy a position in this one this morning, and I totally agree with you. I think that this is a great stock. If you've watched me for any amount of time, you probably didn't know I existed a year ago, but this was one of the stocks that I had last year, and I had been buying and selling this one since about 180. This has just been a tremendous stock all the way around. This actually last year, Nvidia was the number one performing stock. It was basically neck and neck with Tesla, but this and I still think it's a special company, and I don't mean that like he's special. I mean I think this is a great company, and it has a lot more to go. So I think even after it splits, it's going to be probably a very good buy. If you'll notice, it's up slightly after, just a tad, just a tick. But this one is definitely one you want to look at. You really do, because it's going to go higher, at least in the short term. And by the way, if you're on our action trade alerts, we do have that. If you go to www.dallastradingfloor.com and sign up, we have we get you on the list. And I'm probably going to do a series of slides on how I'm trading Nvidia, and I think the splits are very interesting. Economics professors will tell you the splits don't matter, but boy, in my experience, they do. I've made a lot of money on splits over the years, and I think NVIDIA is ripe for that. So hopefully, if the market, as long as the market holds up in general, I think we may have a very, very good opportunity on NVIDIA. Thank you, Jeet, for bringing that up. So that's a very, very good thing to bring up. This is a stock that you might want to consider buying this one. This is a solid gold. I say solid gold, but this is a good opportunity with NVIDIA coming through the split, because it's going to be a very successful split, I think. All right, so can you review? I just did. Let's take another question instead. SPY is taking a nosedive. Well, and by the way, everybody, the SPDR, or SPY, is the ETF that tracks the S&P 500. And at one time, and I don't know if it is now, but at one time it was the world's largest ETF, and it's just worth an amazing amount of money. And the way they calculate it is they look at the individual weights of all the stocks that are in the S&P 500, and then that makes up the index, and that's how it works. But it has been, it's up a little bit now after hours. So I'm looking the SPDR. Let's look at the 5-minute chart and see kind of how. I wouldn't say that's really a bad sell-off. It's not horrible. Most of the last 5 weeks have been a tough time to trade. A lot of the indexes have been off, so it's been quite difficult. I mean this last month or so, it's been quite a difficult time to trade. I've been knocked out of so many of my positions. It's just not, it's just amazing. Matter of fact, let me show you what I am currently, and I'm going to show you, this is my small portfolio. This isn't all my positions, but I have a little thing called the small portfolio that I always talk about that. And what that is that's just a relatively, that's just a relatively small portfolio that I have. Let's bring that up. That what I do is I'm kind of show you what I'm trading, when I'm trading it, that kind of thing. So let's go to the small portfolio and see if I can get it up here for you. By the way, even though we're buying things, I'm actually buying things. It's still, this is a very tough market, and right now a lot of the stocks are just they're not performing as well. They're just not performing well. So let me give you an idea of kind of where I'm at in terms of my small portfolio. I'm mostly still in cash. I'll be honest with you, and I'm mostly still in cash. So here's a kind of a look at the small portfolio. This is how I trade it, but I have basically resource stocks right now. I have Matador. I've done well on that. I've had it for about 3 weeks, up about 5% on it. This is not bad considering the overall trend of the market. Whiting Petroleum, this has done okay. It's up about 2%. Down a little bit on Newmont Mining. I just acquired this one just 3 days ago, as I got this one. I was mostly in cash up until then. And it's off a little bit, but this is a gold miner. I do think that this one will probably perform fairly well. Virgin Galactic. I bought this one this morning. It's up 9% from this morning, so that's pretty good. I also did buy another one. It's more of a safety play, and it's called Copart. And what they do is they own junkyards. And you think, God, why would you do that? It's an extremely profitable business, and this is the biggest company in it. So this kind of gives you an idea of how my portfolio is. I'm 64.2% in cash, which is too much. I don't really want to be in this much cash, but it's really hard to find the right setups, and I'm just looking for the right setups. I went in a little bit too big. I've been going in with half positions. Now, normally, if you've been watching me for any amount of time, you know that I typically, the way I trade is the value of the entire portfolio divided by 8 gives you 8 full positions. I've been basically buying half positions just because I just don't want to go out with any more than that. Now, I did buy a full position in Newmont Mining. I may live to regret that, but I'm only down $20, so I don't think that. I think that won't come back. But 62% in cash, and then the rest. So I'm still leery about this market. It's not a time to go back all in. I just can't really see it right now. What do you think about Erythium? Bought it at 24 for a day trade. I don't know. I don't really trade that short. I know you. Let's see. Okay. for day trading. Okay. Oh, okay, cool. Um, all right. So there we go. All right. Hi, how are you doing? Okay, let's see. Do you think tech stocks are coming back anytime soon? Well, I'm hoping so because I make most of my money in tech stocks. I'll be honest. I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult. There is a stock that I want to point out to you, and this is an interesting stock, and I think you might have heard of it. It's called Upwork, UPKW. Uh, it's an Upwork? No, it's not Upwork. It's Up. Why can't I think of it? Um, UP something. Let's. And I don't own it. WK. Okay, let's see. Upwork is. Oh yeah. Okay. There we go. Okay. No, this is Elance. No, this is not the one I'm interested in. No, Upstart. I'm sorry, Upstart. Upwork. UPST. U up S T. Is that right? Upstart. Yeah, not Upwork. Upstart. Boy, I got it confused. But Upstart. UPST. There we go. This is one I'm very, very interested in, and the reason I'm interested in this one is because this one could be absolutely a game changer. So this was a IPO, and I want to show you this chart because I think this is a I don't own it yet. I am looking to buy this one because I think it is such an interesting company, and hopefully it won't collapse. Now this is not this is a technology company, sort of. What this company does is this automatically scores, uses AI to automatically score credit for very low dollar value loans, like under $5,000. This is a real problem. A part of the reason a lot of entrepreneurs, small businessmen can't get started is because they have no access to credit. And how do you get access to credit if it's just based on your payment score and if you haven't paid anything back? That's a problem. But what this company does is so interesting is that they basically take your social media feeds, they take a lot of things together, and they use a big data and basically Google, which basically tracks all your movements, and they put together kind of a score at, can you be lent money and at what rate? And I think this is just a tremendous idea. This was an IPO. It hasn't been out all that long. As you can see, it went up and then it pulled back. Now I've drawn a trend line here. I didn't buy it at the breakout. No, I should have brought it at the breakout, but when it happened, of course, the market was skittish, and so I kind of went and hid here a little bit. But now it's coming above its level. So I think that this one might be. You should put this one on your radar because I think this one has the potential to be very big and much bigger than it is now. And currently, it's trading for 153. Now, normally I don't like. I don't like a place like this, but in this market, this is absolutely stellar. It has 88 checklists. And the industry, it's not, you see, this is the thing, this is why I like this one. It's in the computer finance loans area, which is actually doing very, very well. Computer software isn't doing all that well right now, but loans are. But this is actually a loan, this is actually a database company disguised as a consumer finance company. I think this one has tremendous potential. And so I think you ought to put this one on your watch list. I'm going to probably try to buy this if it moves above about 165. I'm going to see how it trades on Monday, but I'm very interested in this one because I do think we're going to see some tremendous numbers. Now, they went through earnings. Their earnings were stellar. They were up 349%. So this is probably one in this next round of tech. This is the kind of company that I'm looking at. Something that can reduce expenses, expand markets, and just be very profitable. And as you can see, this was started by a number of people that were originally at Google, and then they decided to use some of the AI capabilities to kind of figure out what. This is, I think, much better than a credit score. Back in the day, you had to have a credit score, and I have a credit score, and you have a credit score, and everyone has a credit score. But that's based on your payments, your payment history. Well, for an old guy like me, it's no problem because I have a long payment history, and I've paid off a bunch of loans, a bunch of mortgages, a bunch of all that kind of stuff. So I have good credit, but I may not need that credit. But everybody knows that I have relatively good credit, so it's not a problem. the guy starting out, that's the guy that needs credit. But how does he get credit if he doesn't have payment history? Well, this company solves the problem. And that's why I think it's an awesome company. And I think you ought to put it on your radar. UPST, Upstart Holdings. Upstart Holdings. So I've kind of, I'm not getting paid any money from the company, by the way. I just want to tell you that. Crypto question. Did you ever look at the DXA index on TradingView? Bitcoin started crashing in 2008 on this. Yeah, I don't look at this one, but I think that's true. I mean, I do think that Bitcoin is going to pull lower, and a lot of it has to do with the politics of this. Central banks are going to try their darndest to have their own cryptocurrency, and they're going to try to substitute that for the other cryptos. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on cryptocurrency. This is one of the reasons I think that Elon basically said, well, we're going to stop accepting crypto. Well, the reason they're going to stop accepting crypto is because crypto was diving, and they have it on their books, and so they had to do something. I think, and that's kind of what ended up happening. So right now, I'm not, at least in the short term. A long term, I think we're going to have cryptocurrencies out there, but short term, I think it's going to be tough sledding. So I would be lightening my load on crypto right now, waiting for the right time to come back. I really would. Have you ever heard anything about 4chan Insider who said this is a coordinated attack and Bitcoin is going to 25K? It might be Burger King. I like that name, Burger King. I like Burger King too, unfortunately, a little bit too much. Burger King and McDonald's are my friends. I don't know if it's a coordinated attack. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm also not stupid either. I do think that there are forces out there that are pushing it down. I do believe that a lot of the people that made money in this crypto run up are basically trading in their chips, and that's forcing it down. I mean, I know that there's a definite right now on Bitcoin. There's a definite ceiling. Right now at about 45, and I don't think it's going to get beyond that for a while. I mean, I think that, we saw that movement beyond that, and I think it's down. I do think there's a floor currently at about 30. That was what I was saying a few days ago. I do think if we violate below 30, we're going lower. I don't think it's 25. I think it's more like 20 if we violate that 30 level. So 30,000 is a key level, I believe, for Bitcoin, and currently the trend of the chart is downward. Unfortunately, part of the way I analyze, it's true, cryptocurrency is different than stocks, but they're not, because all markets essentially function the same way if you have buyers and sellers. That's one of the reasons I look at the GBTC, which is the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, as a proxy for the Bitcoin market. Now there is one for Ethereum. I haven't really studied the chart yet. There is a fund for that one. I have not studied it, but I definitely am going to, because I think that you can get a lot of insights by studying it. Just like if you want to look at the overall S&P 500, you should look at the motion of the spider, the SPY, because it tracks it. So that's a good way to. That's what you could. But I do think we're going to see, unfortunately, some weakness, and it may pull. If it pulls below 30,000, I think you're going to have to, get out quickly. Just my opinion here. Okay, Roblox. Hey, thanks, Kate. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, Roblox is doing incredible. I wish I knew more about this company. I really don't. The one I'm very excited about is Upstart. Not Upwork. I made that mistake. Is Upstart, but Roblox has done incredibly well, and it was an IPO. But I'm still, in this market, I'm a little bit skittish. It's just not as go as it was. And it is performing fairly well. Now, here's the thing about Roblox. Don't look at the daily chart on Roblox. Look at the weekly chart. The weekly chart is fairly, it's fairly conservative. And it seems like it's trading, the pivot on this one is $79. Currently it's above that. So that's a good sign. If it can hold above that, it's probably going to go higher based on this relative strength line. But if you look at the daily chart, you go, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I mean, it's so volatile. It's going between 60 and 80 on a daily basis. But if you go over to the weekly chart, it's not so bad. going forward, I mean, they just went through earnings. They had some very, very nice earnings. I mean, in terms of sales, obviously, or didn't have any earnings. They're still negative on the sales, but it is a growth company. So it's the increases in sales that you want to look at for that, and they have been very good, as you can see. Every quarter, their sales have been moving nicely, so that's good. As long as they can keep that up, increasing sales is always a good thing to have. So I like the stock, but I don't like it enough to own it yet. I'm still on the fence with Robix. I'm still on the fence with them. All right. If for any reason space doesn't go off Saturday, the price will drop to $2 or $3. You are correct. You are absolutely right. Here's what I think you need to do with space. I think you got to put in a market stop loss, and I just think you have to. I don't have a very large position on space, uh, and I'm hoping, of course, they're successful because I always do hope that. Um, but here's what I have a stop loss in. I bought the stock, but I have a stop loss right here, right at this line, and my stop loss on this one. And you want to do a market stop loss on this one. You don't want to do a trailing. Don't do a trailing stop loss on this one, please. You know you want to put stop loss for space is this is the stop loss that I'm using right now. 1960 is the stop loss that I'm using for space, and the reason I'm doing that is because if things go well, it may go up tremendously. But you're right. You're absolutely right on this one. This thing could fall back to earth like very quickly. So you want to have a market stop loss on this one so you don't get killed. And I've come up to the end of the hour, and thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kate. Have a great weekend too, and let's have a great weekend too. By the way, if you're not on our Action Trade Alerts, do consider it because it is free, and we sometimes have some good information. I'm going to try to put together a series on how to trade NVIDIA because I think it's a very good opportunity, and so that's an opportunity out there. But to get on this free Action Trade Alerts, very easy. Just go to www.DallasTradingFloor, first last name, and we'll get it on. We'll get you on the list and we'll get you set up. Okay, so until Monday at 2:30. Thanks for everybody stopping by, and hopefully to see you back at 2:30. Happy trading. Be careful. Space is going to launch. Hopefully, the Spaceship 2. Hopefully, it'll be successful. But remember, put a stop loss in it right now at 1960 in case it pulls back, because it absolutely can pull back. And you want a market stop loss, not the trailing stop loss. So that's what you want to do. So until Monday at 2:30.